Talk of Chicago, 1690 WVON. I'm Cliff Kelly, America's Heroes Group, She Serves, She Matters Roundtable. And this is our second hour, and our executive producer is Glenda Smith. Our digital media producer is Manny Corzari, and we are so pleased to have on our live line two heroes, sheroes as we call them, Dr. Leithea Williams, who is an Air Force veteran. She joined the United States Air Force in 1999 as an A1C. She was the first stationed in Omaha, Nebraska, at the Air Force Base, where she worked as a military traffic management command cashier at the Defense Finance and Accounting Service. I could go on, but she was commissioned as a second lieutenant, and it was sent to Ramstein Air Base in Germany, where she held positions of budget analyst and later as a financial manager. She's done so many things, but I got to mention this. She taught English to Iraqi cadets and served as an air advisor during her deployment in Iraq. I could go on, but we wouldn't have time to talk to her. But Dr. Williams retired from the USAF in 2015 and attended school full-time in North Central University, where she earned a Doctor of Business Administration in 2018. Dr. Williams, thank you so much. Pleasure to have you with us. Appreciate it. And also we have with us the Yolanda Harris Strong. Yolanda Harris Strong, who is a U.S. Navy veteran and a mother, activist, spokesperson, apparel of women veterans, self-identity. She goes on and on. She's does so much. She is an American woman veteran, and get this, a comedian and actress, best known for the character Yogi from Saturday Cartoon when her dad purchased of land in Yellowstone RV Park. Enlisted in high school, went into the U.S. Naval Service for the adventure, experienced military sexual trauma and injury and inquiry while serving. She returned to find herself homeless, get this, for 4 years until she moved to Las Vegas. She became active in subjects concerning veterans after an auto accident where she was really injured. She propelled herself into the Veterans Hospital system, therefore inspiring her to bring self-identifying to the forefront, becoming a self-advocate. How are you, Miss Yolanda Harris Strong?
Excellent. Thank you for having me.
Oh, my goodness. This is such both of you ladies have got such backgrounds. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Yes, and let me start by saying that Cliff and I decided to create this new platform, Roundtable program, designed only for women veterans, because women veterans are the fastest growing demographics among the military population of homelessness, PTSD, suicide, and unemployment. So this platform is for women veterans only to share their military experiences and their stories. Speak your truth to your power. Welcome to America's Heroes Group.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you both. Doctor, let's start with you. Tell us, give us your story.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate you having us on your program to be able to put a voice to who we are and what we do in the military. My story actually is more about being treated as a second-class citizen while serving alongside my male counterparts. It was an unfortunate experience. However, I have to say, it didn't hold me back. I continued striving because I wanted to be a success for myself, and I didn't necessarily need approval of my counterparts. So I worked hard regardless of the struggles I faced, regardless of the roadblocks that came my way. I still strove towards making rank, and once I retired, I didn't stop. I decided to continue school, and that's where I earned my doctorate.
What happened to you, doctor, in the service while you were a service person, while you were in the Air Force?
Well, it's unfortunate, but not all minorities are treated equally in terms of rank. we're not always appreciated for the work we bring to the table. My personal experience was my projects were never given to me in terms of name. Once the projects were finished and they were successful, there'd be certain things like my name would be taken off. I wasn't part of the group. Or if it was a single person project, I was actually just removed altogether and someone else would receive the credit. And you can imagine how something like that can demoralize you. However, I had to fight through it because at the end of the day, I still had a job to finish. I still had people I had to look out for. I still had to serve my country the best I knew how. So in terms of being treated as a second-class citizen, I know there are other people out there who have stories like mine. They may not be in the military, but there are people out there who, no matter how hard you try, no matter how much success you bring to the team, unfortunately, there's someone there who will say, well, the work's great, but we don't think you're good enough to be put alongside the work. So we're just going to remove you. And unfortunately, it was a male-dominated atmosphere.
Yes.
And so it was hard. You really didn't want to speak up and talk about your boss in front of his boss, because then that really wouldn't look good for you either. So you had to fight through it, and that's what I did.
Well, notwithstanding that, Doc, you got a commission as a second lieutenant.
Yes, I did.
And some of the things you were doing, like teaching English to Iraqi cadets and served as an air advisor during the deployment in Iraq, you did my goodness.
Yeah, there were exciting times. There were things that I enjoyed doing.
But
And
you're
so
saying,
because
notwithstanding the things you accomplished, you still felt that you were ill-treated because of the fact that you were a minority.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
totally.
hell, with all you were able to accomplish, notwithstanding the racism, you'd probably been a general before.
Maybe. But I took my
You know what I'm
retirement.
saying. You really you did well, regardless.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's just, you're a strong person. That's what it is. And that's just great. Is there anything else you want to tell us about your deployment?
Well, nation building, which is what we call most of our deployments.
Yeah, right. Mm-hmm.
They were surprisingly a good time, so to speak. Minus the getting shelled and bombed.
Mm-hmm.
Minus part of it, the work itself was pretty rewarding. And I wouldn't change anything. I really wouldn't, because I think everything we learn as we go through life, there's a reason for it.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly done well, that's for sure. So let's now go to Yolanda Harris-Strong. Yolanda, thank you so much. Tell us your
Good
experience.
afternoon. Thank you.
And thank you.
Yeah, thank you for her service, and thank you for your testimony. And she's absolutely correct in that.
Wow,
my experience in the military and why I became a self-advocate was because I did not know that I suffer from an invisible disability when I left the service. I came from the service and thinking that it was just my experience of being taken advantage of and being treated as government property. I was young. I was 18 years old. I had given up a scholarship at U of I to go for pre-med, for pre-dental, because I was mad at my father on a Wednesday and left on a Friday.
Wow.
So I really taught myself about temper tantrums when I got to boot camp. I was very, I'm from Chicago, so I'm a Chicagoan and lived in Chicago all my life and experienced all kinds of cultures. It wasn't until I entered the military that I discovered the racism and the treatment that you receive. So in basic training, and you would think that the military and sexual trauma, those are two words that should never go together, just
Correct.
like military and homelessness. Veteran and homelessness are two things that should never be matched together, but it happens. So when you have that experience and it happens to you in the military and you feel like you're a piece of property, it's like you get these idle undertone threats. You can't sue the military. You better not tell nobody. It's going to be hard on you. And unlike a civilian job, it's not like we can leave and go home and report it to somebody else, a third party. It's your command that you've been betrayed by. So you're forced to kind of keep it as an internal secret around you. And it was a breaking point for me when I got stationed on a ship. This ship, I had never seen a ship out of water, and I don't think most people have ever seen one out of the water. This is a U.S. naval ship, and I got my orders from basic training, and after I graduated A school and my job description school, as they say, for my MOS, and they gave me one of the most derogatory names that you could ever think that a woman would have to walk around and have. I was called a torpedo man's mate. So as a woman, it wasn't women in that field. It was mostly men. So torpedo man's mate. So you get teased by that alone. And then to find out this ship that got taken out of the water was sent there into dry dock to put female birthing on it. It had never had female birthing on it. So we are the first group of women, and then I joined a special team of special forces of women from school to be on the ship for weapons division, where we monitor, control, and program the nuclear and non-nuclear weapons. So we were in charge above the military police on the ship. So my incident happened with an officer on the ship that was commissioned to come in from college or whatever and have his 2 weeks, a year, whatever, with us on the ship. So it got to reporting the incident, and I told him, I said, hey, at this point about reporting you, it ain't going to happen because it ain't going to go nowhere. I'm just going to be standing over your dead body explaining why I emptied 2 clips into you. I was taken to Captain's Mast. Yeah, I was taken to Captain's Mast, which is equivalent to being taken to court and jailed on the ship for that statement.
Wow.
But that's where the fight started, and the aggression towards me got even harder. I didn't think that I was a very attractive woman at the time, and I would get into civilian clothes, and they would tell me I look too good in civilian clothes. I shouldn't dress up like that. So the sexual harassment was continuous for the entire time that I served. When we dispatched from Persian Gulf to go over to Madagascar and Morocco, then we were harassed by the foreign nationals that the military accepted into our forces. So after coming back to Chicago, Illinois, and I didn't even walk, I went to the VA and turned around and said, nope, don't want anything to do with the Veteran Administration, don't want nothing to do with military, and start living my life. And it propelled me into such a deep depression that I didn't even recognize I was depressed, even after having birth, postpartum depression, and getting no medical treatment. It wasn't until I got into another relationship that was hazardous for my health, and we were driving with my children, and we hydroplaned off a highway and fell down a cliff. So when I fractured the whole right side of my body, I was forced to have to go into the VA system, and that's where I started getting my healing here in Palo Alto, California, for military sexual trauma, PTSD, depression, and anxiety disorder. And come to find out, a lot of these things are demonstrated in the military, but we can't talk about those and make it known that we're that way in the military, because it feels like now you're damaged goods, because they want you to be top 1 grade A. And no problems. So to even say that you wanted to take an antidepressant or anything, it's like all eyes are on you. And it's different than any other branch to be in on a ship. You have nowhere to run. You have nowhere to go. That is your closed community. That's like a small town. Everybody whispers. Everybody gossips. So unfortunately, I had got impregnated by my perpetrator and had the baby, and the military helped him take my child from me at 5 months. So I lost custody and my child at 5 months and didn't see him till he was 14 years old. So that trauma I went through, and I come to find out now, after doing self-advocacy, a lot of us have held in a lot of our military sexual trauma. And even if you hadn't directly experienced it, I'm sure my veteran sister there has seen it in her command. And she knows that now we've been going up to legislations and Congress and everything. I've been to the state capitol in Sacramento to talk about this, because this is a subject that we should not be exposed to. Yes, it happens to men, but women are more affected by it because we have the babies, we raise the children, and we are the ones left behind. So I started a campaign called Leave No Woman Behind. Every June 1st, we get together and do a social event, not to talk about military sexual trauma, but to come out as survivors and talk about our skills that we achieved in surviving military sexual trauma and the harassment and experiences we experienced in the military from our cohorts. These are supposed to be our co-employees. These are supposed to be our co-workers. These are the people that we look to have our 9, as we say, have our 6, and have our back. So you don't expect someone to want to do something to you, and if they do, you expect them to be accountable and held for it. But most of the time, a lot of these people are honorably discharged, or they're just simply given a bad conduct discharge instead of a dishonorable.
Yeah.
And I feel that's an insult to the people that have been assaulted. But they'll compensate you and call you service-connected and give you a lifetime compensation for your injury. But how does that equate and be valuable in dollars and cents? It doesn't. We require more medical attention. Our VAs don't even have mammogram machines in our VAs. Some of our VAs don't even help us with OBGYN care. And what I found out recently is we don't even have a sexual response team at our VAs. We have to go to civilian. So that even feels more insulting to us as military and veteran women and men to have to go to civilian forces when our Department of Defense is so large and funded with so much money. So we had to sit down at one time a couple of years ago with President Obama about this, but we're waiting for the new president, and the new president of 2020, if we get a new one, needs to really address this matter. But how can you address the matter when you're already a corporate, a person that's already touching people and grabbing by their private genital areas? That's an insult to have a commander-in-chief in charge that would even state that or let that be on him and elected. Yeah. Then we have Kavanaugh that got elected in the appeal courts. Mm-hmm. So our faith in our judicial system and the people leading this is very low. So we decided as women veterans and veteran sisters, we're stationed in Menifee and Riverside, California, is about 250 of us. And then we have our BIBS, BIB 2.0 group that we do on Facebook that has over 17,000 of us. And we talk about all these issues. And we do our own self-reach out now for each other. Because if it's going to help us, it has to be us to help us through this.
Have you, your story is, it's amazing. Have you, your group, gone to Congress at all?
Yes, we've been to Congress several times.
Right.
I think you know about the Ruth Moore Act. If you look it up, Ruth Moore went and talked about it, and that's why we have the Ruth Moore Act.
Wow. Okay.
Well, Yolanda, you now have a home and a platform for you, your comrades. America's Heroes Group platform is your voice to speak your truth to your power. Thank you so much for your courage. Dr. William, you as well. I'm speaking to both of you. Thank you both so much for your courage, your sacrifice, and your dedication, because what you're speaking up takes courage to do what you're doing and what you've done in the past for this country. So we salute and honor you, ladies. We really do. And absolutely happy Mother's Day to both and your entire group.
You.
Yes. So whatever you and the group needs from Cliff and America's Heroes Group, our number is 312-803-2618. And I beg all of you all to plug into our website at www.americasamericashg.org. It is a category that says Women Veteran. If you go into radio, click on there, join our community involvement page, category, at the bottom, because this is now your platform.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Well, I'm so honored, and thank you for that, and thank you for your service to us.
Well, I haven't served. I'm the only non-veteran of the group. Other members are veterans. So what we are organically a platform of veterans supporting veterans. And what I do as executive producer, I don't filter your voice. I don't sanitize it. I let you speak what is in your heart based on your power. So we don't bullet point. We don't bullet point. We don't, this is not suit and tie. This is your platform. So.
Both of you ladies are just great. We certainly appreciate it. And as Linda mentioned, a happy Mother's Day to you.
Yes, happy Mother's Day to all of you, too. Yeah. I thank you for this, and this has inspired me to get in touch with our PBS station that I want to start a television show for women veterans called In My Living Room, Keeping the Pulse of the Veteran.
Wow. Make sure we're connected in with you.
Absolutely, if that happens.
I'm telling you, fantastic. Yes. So, Dr. Williams, would you like to have a closing statement?
Yes, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
I really appreciate this opportunity. I I'm so happy that there's a platform for veterans to speak out about the issues we face.
Yes, ma'am.
A lot of people believe that because there is a VA, there's an administration, and they talk so much about it, that when we complain, that we're whining. They really don't know the ins and outs of what goes on after you serve. They don't understand that there's physical as well as mental and emotional trauma that so many of us experience, and that the VA at this point is not doing enough to care for us. I myself, I was diagnosed with PTSD. However, I try my hardest to not let it overtake my everyday life.
Yes, ma'am.
Right.
But
Okay.
in order to be treated for PTSD,
Yeah.
I have to be like on the verge of hurting myself or someone else for the VA to listen. And that's not where I am.
Yes, ma'am.
Listen, we just appreciate you both being with us, and we'll keep in touch.
Absolutely.
And
You
thank
ladies have my numbers.
Yep.
If you want to call and talk or whatever I can do to be of an assistant and an advocate on behalf of America's Heroes Group, we are here for you all. Thank you all
Thank you
so
both.
much.